En ce moment, c'est les Jeux olympiques. Alors, j'en profite pour analyser un petit peu l'anglais de certains des plus grands athlètes français et décerner quelques médailles d'anglais. Beaucoup m'ont vraiment impressionné, mais j'ai aussi remarqué quelques erreurs. Alors aujourd'hui, apprenons de ces erreurs et améliorons votre anglais ensemble. Comme d'habitude, activez les sous-titres si besoin, parce qu'ici, pour apprendre l'anglais, on parle anglais et let's start. Let's start with an up-and-coming star of table tennis, or as I like to call it, ping pong, Félix Lebrun.
I started to play table tennis because of my father. He's a coach of table tennis in my club in Montpellier.
Okay, so my first impressions of Félix are that I think he's expressing himself really well. He doesn't seem to be searching for his words too much, and I really like the first sentence he said. I started playing table tennis because of my father. Fantastic. I would say maybe I can tell that he's not used to speaking a lot of English because the way that he's constructed part of his sentence is a little bit French. For example, here he says...
He's a coach of table tennis in my club in Montpellier.
Okay, so talking about his father, he says he is a coach of table tennis. So this is definitely a French way to construct this sentence. The more natural way to say this would be, he is a table tennis coach. Then he goes on to say, in my club, in Montpellier. In this case, it would be much more natural to use the preposition at my club, in Montpellier. In this case, it is more appropriate to use at for the club. We can say in a club, but that is more talking about physically maybe being inside of a club, maybe inside the physical building. But if we participate in a club, maybe we're a member, would be better to use at. All right, let's continue. Let's see what else Félix has got for us.
I think my family always supports us with Alexis, so it's very important. And I think it's very good for us.
Okay, so I can still feel that Félix is able to express himself really well. He's not hesitating or searching for his words, which is fantastic. However, I did hear another really French sentence construction that caught my attention. My family always support us with Alexis. So apart from the obvious, yes, we need to add supports. My family supports. But what I'm more interested in here is when he says us with Alexis. Now, I understand from this video Alexis is his brother, but I think that he only means himself and Alexis. Now, I've actually made a video on this topic. I'll link it for you up here. But in English, when we use with after a pronoun, the person included in with is separate from that pronoun. So I'm getting the idea from this sentence that there's Alexis, Félix, and somebody else included in that us pronoun. I don't think that's what he's trying to say. Here, what he could have said, what he should have said, is my family always supports my brother and me, or me and my brother. Overall, I'm quite impressed with Félix's English. I think I'm going to give him a silver medal. Moving on now from table tennis to basketball, let's listen to Victor Wembanyama, the French basketball star. Now, I know he plays in the NBA, so he must live in the US, but he's quite young, so he can't have lived there for very long. Let's see how good his English is.
What is it about the game or the competition that you love?
It's something bigger than basketball, you know. It's just life. It's just accomplishing yourself inside this universe, you know. And when I need motivation, when I need energy and I feel tired out, when I need a fight on the court and it's hard, I always remember I'm free in that universe. I do whatever I can and I know what I want to do and nothing's going to stop me from doing it. And I always got that in mind. And it doesn't just stop to basketball, you know, it's about life.
Fuck, man.
Yes, fuck. I didn't think he lived in the US for very long, but now I'm really curious. I'm going to check. How long has Victor been living in the US? It looks like he's lived in France basically most of his life and that he learned English from Instagram and TV shows. That's really, really impressive. And I think this is an amazing example of just how far you can get with your English if you're truly passionate about something. I imagine he was probably watching a lot of NBA-related content, which is something he's really passionate about. So I think it's a very big inspiration for anybody, right, to show that it's absolutely possible to get to this amazing level without actually moving to an English-speaking country. So let's talk a little bit about what makes his English sound so good, what makes him sound so natural. So absolutely, his pronunciation is really, really good. So he has an American-sounding pronunciation. He says things like instead of of course, and sound much more natural in English. And he also uses a lot of really natural contractions where he really doesn't pronounce certain parts or he squishes words together. For example, I heard him say, when I need a fight on the court. So here, instead of saying when I need to, he's pronounced when I need a. So this sounds really, really natural. And let's not forget that he's also kind of talking about quite a deep philosophical topic. So I'm really impressed that he's able to express himself in such a clear way about his philosophy, about his motivation, that kind of thing. So hats off to Victor. Well done. So Victor's English is amazing, but it's not perfect. I really had to search, but he did make one tiny mistake. He said it doesn't stop to basketball. Now we can say stop to, but we always follow it with a verb. And it means that I pause what I'm doing in order to do something else. For example, I stopped to tie my shoe. So maybe I stopped walking or I stopped what I was doing because I needed to tie my shoe. This is the only way we can use stop to. I believe what Victor wanted to say was stop at. It doesn't stop at basketball. This gives us the idea that he's on a kind of a journey and he doesn't stop at this place, at basketball. He continues even further. All right, let's see just a tiny little bit more of Victor.
He's reached enlightenment.
No, man. I'm not sure I'm really understood because in French I know I can make myself understood, but in English sometimes I'm not.
No. You understood. You understood. It's very clear.
Okay, so we can see here he's being very humble, saying, I don't know if I expressed myself well. Did you understand? We got it. That's another sign that someone has fantastic English when they start being very humble and saying, did you understand? Yeah, it's fine. All right, so the time has come. Let's award Victor his medal. And of course, no surprises here. I think Victor deserves a gold medal for his English. I'll just remind you that you can download a free PDF summary of all of the corrections I'm going to make today. I'll leave the link in the description. Our next athlete has already won a medal this year. So let's see an English interview with him. It's Antoine Dupont from the French rugby team.
Firstly, Antoine, how much are you looking forward to the championship starting against Italy?
Okay, just before we see anything of this interview, let's just have a moment of silence for this hero because his interviewer is Irish.
Right. What did he say?
This is like an interview on hard mode. Let's see how he does.
It's very exciting every year when we start the Six Nations.
All right, it's already started very, very well. I'm really happy to hear that Antoine has said it's very exciting. Absolutely. When we talk about an event, something that makes us feel excited, we say it is exciting or I am excited. So well done, Antoine. Let's continue.
Very exciting every year when we start the Six Nations. Italy is a very serious team. They beat Australia in November. They won in Cardiff last year, so we have to do a very serious preparation to go in Rome.
All right, Antoine. So my first impressions are that he's really able to express what he wants to say. He knows what he wants to say, and I think he's doing a really good job at expressing himself. He has quite a strong French accent, but it's absolutely not impacting my ability to understand him at all. So yeah, I'm already really impressed. A couple of things that I did hear were, firstly, I heard him talk about the Six Nations. Of course, this is a plural. We should make sure that we pronounce that S, Six Nations. And he talked also about going in Rome. In this case, because we have this idea of movement, that we're going from one place to another, we need to say, go to Rome. Let's see what else we've got.
And how do you balance trying to win this championship and a World Cup down the line?
Yeah, it will be a very busy year for us, but we have to take the objective step by step, and first there is the Six Nations, so we'll focus on that.
Okay, so again, look, I think he gave a really clear answer, that he spoke well, that the words really flowed from him, but he does still have quite a strong accent. So let's see a couple of words where he did have a bit of an accent. For the word busy, I heard busy. So we really need to make sure we have an open I, busy, for this word. And a classic word that is really tricky to pronounce. Here we have the word focus. So here I heard Antoine say focus. Be careful here. Look, it's totally understandable. Of course, in this context, we know what he's saying, but it does have quite a harsh sound, and it certainly reminds English speakers of the word fuck. It starts to sound like focus. All right, so here, try to really think about having a round O. Focus. Try to elongate that first syllable, O, so it will sound a lot less like fuck. Okay, so overall, Antoine, I think he expresses himself clearly. He's not hesitating too much. However, his prepositions are a bit off, and he does have some work to do with his pronunciation. I think he deserves a bronze medal. Our next renowned French athlete is Clarisse Agbegnenou. I really hope I pronounced that correctly. Sorry if I didn't. Let's have a look at her English interview.
Hello, I'm Clarisse Agbegnenou, and I'm 5-time world champion, 2 times Olympic champion, and this is my home.
Another really good first impression from Clarisse. Again, I can see that she's communicating in a really fluid way. She's able to express herself with a decent pronunciation, so fantastic. Let's have a look at some things that I noticed. She said, I'm 5-time world champion. So first, let's talk about articles. Here we need to add a. I'm a 5-time world champion. Then she says 2 times Olympic champion. Now, I have made a video on this topic, which I'll link up here. Careful, in English, we can never have an adjective that is plural. I know that might seem very, very strange. Here, what she should have said is a 2-time Olympic champion. Even though I understand that in a different sentence we would say, I did it 2 times. When 2-time becomes an adjective, it can never be a plural. And this applies to situations where you might actually think maybe it's not very logical. For example, I would need to say, my 5-year-old niece. I cannot say my 5-years-old niece because this part is an adjective and it can never be plural. So the correct complete sentence here would be, I'm a 5-time world champion, a 2-time Olympic champion, and this is my home.
I woke up usually at 8:30, something like that, at night still sleeping, and then I'm making the breakfast, so I'm making pancakes and stuff, some fruit. I like to make some juice, and then I breastfed her, and she just... Thomas.
All right, Clarisse goes on to talk to us a little bit about her morning routine. And for this, we, of course, should use the present simple. Now, I think Clarisse does know this, but I think what's happened here is not so much that she's not conjugated some of these verbs. I think it might be just a slip of pronunciation. So especially with some irregular verbs, we do need to be careful with our vowels because changing the vowel can change the tense of the verb. For example, when she tells us that she wakes up around 8:30, I hear her say, I woke up, which of course is talking in the past. So here we need to be careful to pronounce I wake up around 8:30. I also heard this when she talks about her baby. She says, I breastfed her. But here, if we say fed with a short eh, this is the past tense. Here, what she should have said is, I breastfeed her. I heard her say, I'm making breakfast. Here, of course, we can change back to the present simple. I make breakfast, right? So that gives us, I wake up, I make breakfast, I breastfeed my baby, etc. Overall, I really think that Clarisse was able to express herself pretty well. A few little slips here with pronunciation, but overall, I think she's got a pretty strong level of English. I think she deserves a silver medal. Our last athlete has been making a bit of a splash in the swimming world. It is Léon Marchand. And actually, I just noticed in the description of this video something about Arizona State University. So I'm thinking maybe he studies in the US, which makes me think he might be pretty good. Let's see.
When I called the coaches before coming to the US, they were like, what was the ranking? 7th?
Unranked.
Maybe
we have been
DQ, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were like, it's possible. You guys, if we build that team, we can do it in like a few years. And I really trusted them from the very beginning, and now we did it. So really happy with it, really proud of all the coaches, all my teammates and everything.
Okay, so as expected, he speaks really, really well, and he has a really nice pronunciation too. I saw a nice f there for 7th, so well done to Léon. But let's talk a bit about what makes him sound so good. So he does have a really nice pronunciation, but he doesn't exactly sound American, but he just sounds very, very neutral. He doesn't have a really strong French sound either. And just like Victor, he uses a lot of instead of which really gives him more of a natural sound. And there's one expression that he used in this case to talk about what the university's administration told him. Instead of saying they said to me or they told me it's possible, he says, they were like, it's possible. Now, I have copped some flack on this channel before for talking about this expression, so I'm not here to tell you whether this expression is good or bad. However, it's a thing. Almost everybody uses this expression at some point. Instead of saying they said, we can say they were like or she was like. In this case, I think it makes Léon sound really natural and at ease in English. But actually, I haven't heard any mistakes yet, so let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's see if I can find something to critique.
I've never really been really social, but since like I came here 3 years ago, I think it really changed a lot. Also the leadership aspect, I think. I know people watching me, they also learn from me, and I love like giving advices, helping them all like every day. And we all do that, it's not just me.
All right. Yeah, look, he's really, really good. But I did hear one tiny, tiny little thing, and this is honestly a really advanced mistake. So really, really advanced speakers of English still make this mistake. Here he said, I love giving advices. Now, you probably know that in English there are countable nouns and uncountable nouns. For example, I can easily count 1, 2, 3, 4 apples. It's a little bit more difficult for me to count 1, 2, 3 waters, for example. I need another form of measurement to quantify water, like liters, milliliters, that kind of thing. But some more abstract nouns are a little bit harder to understand or accept that they are uncountable, and advice is one of those things. We can never add an S to the end of the word advice. Here, what Léon should have said is, I love giving advice. This is a general statement. If he wanted to talk about, for example, 3 specific advices, that's not correct. We need to use the word a piece. We could say 3 pieces of advice. This is the same for some tricky nouns like information, accommodation, equipment, luggage, etc. Okay, well, look, Léon, he's a star in the pool, and I'm sure he's going to win many gold medals in his career, but I think he deserves another one today from me. So let's give Léon as well a gold medal for his English. So that was our 5th and final athlete for today. Let me know if you learned something new. And of course, if there are any other French athletes or celebrities whose English you would like me to analyze, let me know in the comments. Remember, you can download a PDF summary of all of the corrections I just made. I'll see you again soon. Bye!